So the concept of active reflection, reflection inherently is something that's very embedded within Islam and within Middle Eastern culture. It's something that, it's constantly, promoted as, evaluate yourself, think about your actions, the concept of, hereafter, the concept of, it's good to visit, graveyards because it reminds you of your mortality and that there is a judgment. So the concept of reflection is something that we've always been promoted to think about and keep being hyper aware of. And being Ramadan, being the time for spiritual and personal, reflection and, mental growth and physical growth and interpersonal evaluation, it's a good time to take an evaluation of how we do our reflection. How do we evaluate ourselves from a personal level, from an interpersonal level, from a spiritual and physical level? What are we doing that is good? What are we doing that is bad? And how are we doing that reflection? So before I begin, let's kick off this engagement in the chat. I'd like to know, how do you reflect? How is it that you choose to reflect? Is this something that is it's a daily thing? Is it a weekly? Do you write in a journal, in a diary? Do you, go talk to someone? Do you have a therapist? How do you evaluate yourself? Evaluate your life, evaluate your actions? All right, Brother Mustafa says, I talk to myself. Very good. What else? How do you evaluate yourself? How do you reflect? Is it a daily thing? I talk to Brother Baghaee. Very nice. Other folks, me too. Okay, I'll take that as you talk to yourself. How often do you talk to yourself? How often do you reflect? Does anyone journal? Does anybody evaluate themselves daily, or is it a weekly thing? Is it a monthly thing? Or is it just during Ramadan? The same way we have a dust on our Qur'ans that we only look at it once a year. Do you only evaluate yourself once a year? I encourage folks to be interactive and chat in the group so we can make this as interactive as possible. I know this is a unique circumstances we are in. Usually these conversations are had in person, so let's try to make full use of our tools here. So every night, occasional contemplation, very nice. So using this time to recharge and evaluating how are we recharging, how are we evaluating ourselves is very important. But reflection without action is inherently meaningless. Thinking about yourself, thinking about your actions, without some sort of evaluating ourselves without action is meaningless. So before we begin, let's look at our goals, right? What are we reflecting? We're reflecting our ability to reach our goals. Our goals can be personal, our goals can be interpersonal, our goals can be professional. We're trying to reach a certain level, a certain stage, a certain status, right? What is that? Is that a state, right? What are some examples of a goal, right? A goal can be something physical. I want to lose weight. I want to be able to run a mile in under 5 minutes. A goal can be metaphysical, right? I want to reach this state of consciousness. I want to educate myself. I want to be able to speak multiple languages, right? These are some things that are not tangible. It could also be something that's even a higher level than that. I have a goal for our spirituality, for my own spirituality, and I want to reach a certain level where I'm able to understand God. I'm able to understand our community at a higher intellectual, spiritual level. Maybe your goal is to pray more often, to pray frequently, to pray on time. These are all non-physical goals that have a very tangible impact in our lives. But before we do any of that, we have to ask ourselves, how are we evaluating ourselves? To create this change, we first need to look internally and then externally. We have to first create this change at the personal level within yourselves, and then you can go and change the outside surroundings. Then you can change the outside surroundings that even impact you, right? There's two types of external change. The first is, I'm changing my family, my community, the people around me, and how they impact my life. And the other one is I'm impacting them and I'm changing them inherently. So first, it's the internal rather than external that we need to evaluate. And the reason I put that aside is because most folks, when we talk about personal development, personal change, the first thing we think about, and some folks wrote it in the chat, is I talk to someone else, right? I relate with someone else. I go externally to change my internal self, right? We work with groups, based on accountability, based on mutual goals. We need to look internally to be more effective. As the basis, as the root of our personal evaluation, it needs to be internal rather than external. So I want to take a brief caveat and talk about emotion and logic in this, analysis that we have. The first step to reflection is being honest with ourselves, right? I am absolutely terrible at doing my namaz al-fajr on time every day, right? Maybe I can only do it one day a week, right? Or maybe I'm saying, I have a fantastic relationship with my friends, right? Or I have a fantastic relationship with my father or grandfather or grandmother, right? Is that my logic that is dictating that I have a fantastic relationship with them? Or is that my emotion? Is it because, my grandfather and my father loves me unconditionally and will, provide me positive feedback that I think our relationship is good? Or does that unconditional love that we have hide the fact that maybe I'm mistreating him or her? Maybe I'm not doing my due diligence to my friends, or I'm not caring for them the way I need to be doing. So understanding that we have our internal biases while conducting our own evaluation, our own self-reflection is extremely crucial. We need to understand that I am biased against myself and that I push myself up to be good, or because inherently we want ourselves to be good, and that's not inherently a bad thing, right? What is your relationship with your friend, right? If I'm doing my evaluation, my reflection, I'm saying, all right, my relationship with my friend, it's fantastic, right? But how am I defining that? Is just liking each other's Instagram post once a month good enough? Is that what defines ourselves as having a good and healthy relationship? So I want to introduce a few concepts when it comes to reflection. And I'm going to take this from the business world, right? We're going to take this from business. Why is, we say business life versus personal life, right? Because one is theoretically rooted in logic, right? We take emotion out of it, right? Why can businesses be successful, right? Because they take some element of emotion out of the decision-making process, right? When my manager comes and tells me I have a problem, right, in my annual review, and I evaluate her or him, right? You take the emotion out of it. You say, we want to better ourselves because we have a common goal, a common objective, right? And I'm going to take the emotion out of it. I'm going to give you the most critical and harsh feedback I can. Why? Because the goal is to make you better. So let's take the concept of emotion out of our self-reflection process. Right? Now, before we get to actually, how some businesses evaluate themselves and how we can take that concept and, place it for ourselves, let's ask ourselves, what is the difference between active and passive reflection? Is there anyone that wants to take a stab at it? So active versus passive reflection. Active reflection is when I choose to evaluate myself prior to an issue coming up, prior to the need to reflect comes up. Passive reflection is, all right, I failed my grade. I got an F on my math assignment. Now I need to figure out what can I do better, right? There's a balance that needs to be made here. There is definitely passive reflection that is excellent and good and necessary for the human body and for the mind. But inherently active reflection is going to be more beneficial for you because I'm being proactive and I'm thinking ahead. Where am I going to fail? What are the things that I'm doing wrong? And how can I fix that? What can I do in the future that's going to support my present and future self? Okay. And as we identify, I'm making a change to my active self or I'm making a change to my passive self, we think, what are the goals that we're trying to reach? Right? So I encourage you, think about goals in three manners. For the month of Ramadan, think about it in three manners. I have my personal goal, I have my spiritual goal, and I have my professional goal, right? Your personal goal is I want to eat healthier. I want to, treat my family better, right? I want to have more respect for my parents. I want to get them tea every night. Something personal I want to change about myself, and I have this goal, and it's overarching. It's a little bit broad, right? We're not getting too specific. And the next one is spiritual goal, right? I want to make sure I fast every day. I want to make sure I pray on time every day. I want to make sure I read Quran every day, something. And the last one is professional, right? I want to do better at my job. I want to arrive on time. I want to get better grades in school and university, whatever that may be. So choose one of these for yourself right now and write in the chat one thing that is your goal. It can be something that you think of right now. It can be a goal you've had for many years. It can be something that you already prioritized. What is one goal that you have in any of these three realms? Let's see if we can get 5 people to share in the group. Bench press 500 pounds. Excellent, excellent goal. Where does that fall into? That falls into the personal. Or if going to the gym is your life, and you're professional, it could fall into the professional. What else? Bench press 5 pounds. Excellent goal. Being realistic with what your, expectations are. Excellent. Can we get goals that are not gym related? To pray Salat al-Layl. Excellent. Okay. How often to pray Salat al-Layl? Is that every night? Taqwa. Okay. Taqwa, that's a big goal. Excellent. Pray on time. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share? So one thing that I found interesting that no one quite mentioned, to fast for the entire month of Ramadan. Okay, this person just messed up my point, but it's an excellent comment, right? The last person, Brother Yusuf T, he says to fast for the entire month of Ramadan, right? What does that have that the rest of the comments didn't have? As a timeline, right? I'm saying it's a short-term goal, it's a long-term goal. I have a time limit associated with my goal, that I want to accomplish this within this time frame. Right? Having these time frames is extremely important because I identify what is the expectation. Should I be rewarding myself every day because I lifted 1 pound more or in 5 pound increments higher? Or am I going to reward myself every year because I'm a step higher or I reached my goal, right? So bracketing these goals within the personal, professional, and spiritual into these short-term and long-term goals helps you identify the timeline, helps you identify the purpose of these goals, which is all crucial in the crux of reflection, right? In order for me to reflect, I need to know, why am I doing this? And reflecting has a connotation of good or bad, and we'll get to that in a minute. But in order for me to say whether or not something I did is good, I need to say, okay, what was the expectation? If the expectation was that I lift 500, bench press 500 pounds in, the span of a month, and I don't accomplish that, then that's not a good thing, then I'm unhappy. But if I say my timeline is a long-term goal and I have 2 years to accomplish this, then every time I get 15 pounds, increments higher, then I reward myself significantly, maybe with a cheeseburger or something like that. Okay, so we've identified why we need to do this self-reflection. We've identified that we need to take some sort of emotion out of it, so we have our highest level of decision-making ability, okay? We want to keep it practical, right? A lot of folks, when they talk to me, they say, all right, I want to do a diary. I want to, talk to someone every single day, right? A lot of those things are hard to manage, right? In the traditional Islamic concept of, sit down every day after, salat, and reflect on the day can be tough. It might not be practical for everyone. So what we've done is we've taken a few concepts from business and we've analyzed, applying those into our own spirituality and personal lives and how we can conduct this self-evaluation. So the first and primary tool of evaluation we want to introduce that originates from the business world is called the SWOT analysis. Okay, the SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Right? Businesses use this strategy to analyze an organization or team's position before they decide on a strategy. They're identifying and reflecting on all elements of the impacts to their goal, both internally and externally, and identify what trajectory, course of action they can create. Okay, so we want to take this model and first apply it to ourselves internally. Right? We remember we had the external and the internal branches. We want to have just the internal for the sake of this discussion. If some of you remember, Brother Kazim talked about personal development. We'll also have a few more people at the end of the month talking about personal development. So this is a small component within the larger context of personal development. Okay, so SWOT analysis. And I'm going to be asking you to share some of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, or threats that apply to the goal you chose in momentarily. So please start thinking about it. So the first element is strengths, right? What do you do well, right? And again, remember, these are adapted for business. So we need to repackage these, reconceptualize these for the sake of the goal that you've chose and within the internal aspect of the goal you chose. So what do you do well, right? If we take the example of, benching 500 pounds, right? If I am really consistent, right? Every day I make the point of going to the gym, right? Maybe I don't actually work out every single day, but I go there and I take some pictures of myself, right? Statistically, the highest percentage of people who don't go to the gym say it's because I haven't gotten there. But once I get there, I'm productive. So if your strength is that I at least get myself to the gym every day, even if it's to take a couple pictures of myself, at least you've made that, right? So what do you do well? What are unique resources that you can draw on, right? Maybe you have a barrier, you don't have a car, you don't have transportation, right? Okay, you understand that this is something that I lack, right? But the actual ability to go there, the desire is a strength, okay? Weaknesses, what could you improve? Where do you have, fewer resources than others? What are other people's, say that you have, weaknesses about? If your goal is, spiritual development, and within that, the concept is praying on time every morning, right? For Salatul Fajr, right? Maybe your weakness is, I don't know how to time manage my homework and I go to sleep late every night, right? So thinking about what is the element that you can improve. Opportunities, right? What opportunities are open to you? What can you take advantage of, right? How can you turn some of these strengths into opportunities? Are there tools that you are not utilizing that would be able to support you as you make that jump to your goal, right? If my goal is, excelling in my academics, right? There's an opportunity. There's a free tutor online, a free tutor that my career center provides, right? That's an opportunity that I haven't leveraged yet that can support me and can then become a strength. And the fourth is threats, right? What threats can harm me, right? What threats do your weaknesses expose you to, right? Do I have a bad friend group that's influencing me and not allowing me to reach my full potential? Are my friends using, negative language, right? And is that influencing my own vocabulary, right? What is it that is a threat to me? So I'd like a few folks to share, what is it that they have, right? That are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats that relate to your goal. Let's see if we can get 7 people to share, right? First, let's go within the spiritual realm, right? Applications to the spiritual. The SWOT analysis that we have, how does this apply to my spiritual life? See if we can get 4 people. Again, a strength, weakness, opportunity, or threat. How does this apply to my spiritual life? Again, only thinking about internal factors for now, right? Not about other folks, just thinking about myself. And it's important when you're carrying out your analysis that you're realistic and rigorous with this, right? You apply it at the right level. You apply it, at some point that makes sense for you. Many folks, the times, and I'm still waiting on responses. I don't know if I haven't seen any yet, but hopefully some will come soon. It's important that can you repeat what you want? I want you to choose one of these 4 boxes, right? And tell me how that applies to my spiritual goal, right? Choose a spiritual goal that you have or one that I provided for you, and choose a strength, weakness, opportunity, or threat. One of these 4 that apply to your spiritual goal. And as I was saying, it's important to repeat this as needed and to evaluate yourself, whether it's through this methodology or other methodology. And there's no one right way to conduct your evaluation, right? For some people, they need to evaluate every single night. For other people, they need to evaluate once a month, right? But the goal of this is to give you a framework to begin that, right? And the concept of, oh, I don't know how to conduct a self-evaluation. I don't know how to think about what am I doing and what trajectory am I on. All right, a threat to bench 500 pounds can being stuck in quarantine for the past 2 months. That is excellent. Very, very thoughtful and relevant and pertinent threat. So you have this goal, right? This is less of the spiritual, I guess. Maybe for some people going to the gym is a spiritual experience, but let's take it as that, right? I'm the threat to my goal of, body transformation is quarantine, right? So how can I, now I have identified something that impacts me, how can I eliminate this as a threat, right? Do I have the means to buy a home gym set, right? Or am I, just, can I use my own body weight, right? What can I do to eliminate this as a threat, right? Someone wrote, a threat to spiritual goal is ego, right? So I have my own ego is a threat. Okay, so now I've identified my ego, right? That could also be a potential weakness, right? But regardless, I've identified my ego is a threat. So how can I create a structure that I'm constantly reminding myself to keep my ego in check, right? Is that a nightly reflection? Is that a physical reminder, right? The concept of negative reinforcement has been, proven through all of science, right? There's a study that showed, individuals who put a rubber band around their arm, and every time they do something that goes against the commitment they had made, they snap the rubber band on their wrist and they flick themselves, right? And they said over a span of 2 weeks, the people had conditioned themselves to not do this because their body trained itself to choose actions that'll prevent themselves from getting snapped. A threat to losing weight is eating too much pizza at iftar. That one is true too. So I think we can move on a little bit. But applying this to your personal and to the professional as well, right? This is a highly applicable method. So in very brief, the SWOT analysis has a few drawbacks as well. Two other methods of thinking about your own actions, again, from a business perspective, right? The goal is to take away emotion, right? It's to identify, a first step to how I can take an active and proactive method to my reflection. Two other business evaluation methodologies is the SOAR analysis and SCORE analysis. SOAR, and these are breaking it down similarly to the SWOT analysis, but these two have a little bit more of a positive spin to it, right? SOAR, strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results, right? What strengths do I have? What opportunities are there for me? What do I aspire to? And what are the results that I need to see? It's less of a self-critical approach, but it is still a proactive approach. It's a little bit more future thinking, right? Again, these are business-oriented concepts in order to take away the intangibles and the emotion aspect of it. So the final one I want to discuss, and I know we want to give enough time for our Kahoot game, the 5 whys root cause analysis, right? The biggest thing, a lot of youth, they say, I've started my self-reflection, but I can't get to the root of the problem, right? Why am I missing the gym? Why am I missing missing class, right? I'm not getting to class on time. Or why am I not, praying Salat al-Fajr, right? So the 5 whys root cause analysis is actually, it was developed by the Toyota production system. This is the initial history of it. But the concept is, you ask yourselves 5 times, why? I have the problem, right? I've ran through a red light. Why? Because I'm late for work. Why? Because I woke up late. Why? Because my alarm clock broke. Why? Because I didn't check if it worked. Why? Because I forgot to do it last night. You can extrapolate this model to anything, right? And by the end of that 5th, you should theoretically get to, why am I not sleeping on time? Why am I not, addressing the problem, right? And that allows you to create a targeted action or a targeted set of actions that address the issue, right? Why am I not praying Fajr on time? Because I'm not sleeping on time. Why am I not sleeping on time? Because I have too much homework, right? Why do I have too much homework and I'm doing it late in the night? Because I didn't do it during the day. Why was I doing it during the day? Because I was playing video games. Why was I playing video games? Because I got peer pressure in doing so. Okay, now I know I'm not praying Salat al-Fajr on time because I am giving into peer pressure. Okay, I need to tell my friends, hey, this time to this time, don't talk to me. This time to this time, it's off limits, right? I'm establishing an action that if you don't, unless you go so far, back and evaluate what is really impacting my problem, I won't have seen it otherwise, right? And it's important to, once you do the 5 whys analysis, you realize there may be, more than one reason, right? And each of those has a sub-reason, right? And by evaluating this cascade and by really subscribing to it and saying, all right, I have an issue and I have this issue because I want to achieve this goal. I need to address these problems, and these problems have reasons. And then you can create a targeted action or set of actions for each of these, which some of the speakers at the end of the month will describe how to create an action plan for your own self-development. So it's important to evaluate, right? Why am I have this goal? And then how can I evaluate whether or not I'm achieving this goal, that I'm on the right trajectory, right? And that getting that first step of reflection is the most crucial part, because just evaluating or understanding that I have a problem, or not necessarily that I have a problem, but I'm not at my goal yet, is the hardest step. And once I've addressed that, once I identify that I need to get somewhere that I'm not at yet, I can conduct this evaluation. And once I take some emotion out of it and I don't, beat around the bush and I say, all right, I actually have a problem and I'm not where I need to be, it allows you to be that much more, developed in your own willpower, in your own discipline, which Brother Kazim spoke about last week. It allows you to prepare yourself with the tools, the support system to address those needs. So it's a very important topic. Inshallah, the coming weeks, we will discuss more on it. I know Sister Allah is going to be talking about personal development. Brother Kazim, again, will be talking personal development at the end of the month, and so will Hajj Islami. So I encourage you all to attend those programs as well as we continue to build on this topic of personal development and self-growth. So I appreciate you all for listening to me speak for a little over my time, but inshallah that was beneficial. And Muhammad Ali, I think you're up. We cannot hear you. At least I cannot hear you.
Sorry. Before we get to the Kahoot game, which, by the way, there's a cash prize for the winner of that game, we have a few questions. Number one, are there any risks to rewarding yourself too often? I assume this is in the process of like developing a habit, or so yeah, are there any risks to rewarding yourself too often in that process?
All right. Yes, there's definitely risks to rewarding yourself too often. Becoming complacent is extremely dangerous, and feeling the need that, okay, I get a reward every day, so there's no chase for my goals. But at the same time, it's important to acknowledge that I need to be rewarded. I need to feel that gratification that comes with getting near to my goals, which can be, very difficult. And if we don't reward yourself enough, folks tend to fall out of that and choose, not to be as proactive and chase their goals.
Okay, thank you for that. And last question, for our goals, checking if they're realistic, should we always talk to people we're familiar with, like friends and family, or should we consider talking to acquaintances or maybe even strangers as well?
That's a very good question, and I think the answer is a little bit more nuanced than I would be able to prepare. Inherently, there is value in speaking with all perspectives and all ideologies, right? Someone who is, non-Muslim has a whole different perspective on life, right, than you may have, right? I lived with, a Christian roommate for 3 years, right? And that was one of the best experiences of my life. Why? Because I completely thought about my own goals, my own life, from a completely different vantage point. And it gave me a ton of perspective. And that's a really good thing. So it's important to, I'll say yes, it's good to talk to all perspectives. It's equally important to take every feedback with a grain of salt and, evaluate where someone is coming from, what perspective they are giving with their goals, and understand that, hey, the advice someone who is, atheist or, a Christian, right, might not be the best advice that works for me. But still taking their advice and opening yourself up to that perspective and, keeping an open mind can only support you in harem.
Thank you for that. Thank you to everyone who's stayed so far, and we're gonna get on with the Kahoot. If I can get it going. Here we go. Okay, in order to play this game, everyone who would like to participate will need to grab their phone or computer. And the audio is not going through.
I think the prize for tonight is $20.
Okay, so please join the game. Go
Is this
to
on
this.
team mode or
Yes,
individual?
team.
Should it be on
This is
individual?
Team. This is team. So to join the game, please go to this link over here, kahoot.it, or the Kahoot app, and then join with this game pin right there.
No, hit Amazon comes for a second time. So last time we had played the game, mashallah, brother Hamid and sister Ala won the money. So let's see if we'll win this time. I don't know if they're on. So maybe we give it one more minute and then we get started.
Yes, let's do that.
MashaAllah, there's a team of 3 Amins. Very nice. And then at the end of this, inshallah, the winner, if you could direct message the host and then with your Venmo account, and we will Venmo you the money, inshallah. All right, Mohammed, do you want to get started?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
All right, so as a reminder, I think you get points by how fast you answer. Is that correct, Mohammed?
Yes, how fast you answer, and obviously assuming you get the question right, you get the right answer. Okay, we're going to start right now. Are you ready?
All right, what does the Scoville scale measure?
Oh yes, I forgot to mention half of these questions are trivia, and half of them are related to Brother Reza's talk.
My topic again, Islamic knowledge. So weight of scones, chili pepper hotness, sound level, and sound intensity. All right, chili pepper hotness. That is the Scoville scale. Next question. Wybon Jr., very nice. What year was IEC established? 1980, 1975, 1990, 1982. How many teams do we have? 19? All right, 1980. Very nice. Muhammad Ali, how many teams do we have? Oh my God.
I believe we have 17 teams.
17 teams. Okay. Next, please. I am not competing in this, by the way, just as a clarification. What does the O in SWOT stand for? Occasion, Omaha, opportunities, or option? Hopefully this is 100% correct. All right, opportunities, very nice. Yes, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. All right, harmful hippo taking a good lead. All right, let's keep this moving. In what city is the Shrine of Imam Reza? New York, Tehran, Shiraz, or Mashhad? Again, you get more points the faster you respond to the correct answer. All right, Mashhad. Oh, who said Tehran? Oh no. Okay, next. Harmful Hippo has a streak with 4 correct answers in a row. Good job. Which NFL team's mascot is Jaguars? Los Angeles, Houston, Chicago, or Jacksonville? The mascot is Jaguars. Let's use the honest method and not Google any answers. Jacksonville, yes. 10 players have reached answer streak 3. Excellent. Harmful Hippo taking an extensive lead. This protein makes the blood red in color. I'm not going to try to pronounce these, but red, orange, blue, or green. $20 on the line. Hemoglobin. Wow. So we got 100% on this one, but not 100% on Reza's Shrine. Very nice. All right, next. What is the name of the 59th chapter of the Holy Quran? Al-Hashr was the correct answer. What racket sport involves bashing a bird? Hunting, Mexican bird bashing, tennis, or badminton? Involves bashing a bird.
It's not the obvious one.
Badminton, yes, that is correct. Not Mexican bird bashing. I do not think that is a real sport. All right. Next question. In Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi is introduced under what name? Jack, Jonathan, Ben, or Joshua? A lot of Jewish names. Ben is the correct answer, yes. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben Kenobi. Oh, Mohibban Jr. coming back into the lead. And Sahar has the highest answer streak of 6. Gracious, pious, and wise, Ibrahim was called the blank of God. Khalil, Jalil, Habib, or Wasi? Khalil is the correct answer, yes. Ooh, QTC is coming up from behind. Very nice. Moibun Jr. letting me down. What is the Maryland state bird? The bald eagle, the oriole, cedar waxwing, or the rose-breasted grosbeak? Oriole is the correct answer. The Baltimore Orioles. All right, question 12. The special white clothes Muslims wear during Hajj is called what? Dishtasha, Aba, Ihram, or Kufi? Ihram, yes, 10 out of 10, excellent. Standings did not change on that one. How many transatlantic trips did the Titanic make before sinking? 0, 1, 3, or 5? Zero is the correct answer. Yes, the Titanic sunk on its maiden voyage. Did not go across the Atlantic once. True or false? You are allowed to fast while traveling. Your answer is false. You are not allowed to fast while traveling. No.
We might have to double check that one later, but.
All right, question 15. When Prophet Muhammad was a baby, he was sent to this woman to wet nurse him. Khadija, Razia, Jamila, or Amina? Amina is the correct answer. QTC pulling away with the lead. If you suffer from epistaxis, what is wrong? I know we have a few med students, so hopefully a few doctors too, I see. Your taxi is not working, you are confused about epidemiology, your nose is bleeding, or your right arm is broken. Epistaxis. Your nose is bleeding, yes. That is the scientific name for a nosebleed. All right, QTC still in the lead. What is LeBron James's middle name? I know we have a few basketball fanatics. Raymond, Daniel, Antonio, or Marquise? What is LeBron James's middle name? Raymond is the correct answer, yes. LeBron Raymond James. All right, next question. In which month was the Quran revealed in its completion? Ramadan, Rajab, Muharram, or Rabi al-Awwal? These questions are designed for speed. You gotta answer quickly. Ramadan, yes. Next question. Very nice. Question 19, 6 left. Who is the highest paid soccer player in the world? Ronaldinho, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, or Neymar Jr.? As of 2020. Messi is the correct answer. As of 2020, Messi is the highest paid soccer player in the world. All right, 5 more left. True or false? The hadith, neighbors before yourself, is attributed to Hazrat Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. True, that hadith is attributed to her, yes. All right, 4 more. How many whys are part of the why root cause analysis? Three, 4, 5, or 6? There are 5, yes. Looks like 8 people weren't listening. All right, what is the Islamic Farsi concept known as presence of the heart related to salat? Focus dar namaz, huzur qalb, qalb shad, or iman salat? Huzur qalb. Excellent. All right. True or false? You should first look at external factors influence your personal development prior to evaluating yourself. Based on the discussion we had today. Maybe some of these questions were too easy. Okay, maybe not. False. You should first look at yourself before looking at external factors regarding your self-development and self-reflection. All right, who's in the lead? What kind of farm is a formicarium? A peach farm, a corn farm, a cricket farm, or an ant farm? Formicarium. It is an ant farm, yes. All right, let's see what the standings are. I think we have, what, 1 more question left? Okay, last question. What is the last name of Ash from Pokemon? Ketchumall, Ketchel, Ketchup, or Ketchum? Ketchum is the correct answer. Ash Ketchum, yes. All right. Let's see. In 3rd place, we have Harmful Hippo, 21 out of 25. 2nd place, QTC. And in 1st place, we have F4 GUTO, 22 out of 25. Runners up, Mabthul and Mohebban. So excellent job, everyone. If the winner, F4 GUTO, could please DM the host your Venmo, and we will Venmo you money. All right, I think Brother Muhammad Ali, it's all yours for to end it out.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Tomorrow night, inshallah, Sheikh Navid will be having his talk on wisdom from the Quran. On Friday, we also have a talk from Brother Ehsan Kashfipur, who I believe is present right now, on financial literacy. I think that'll be very fruitful, and hopefully we can all learn something. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Brother Reza, for speaking. See you all in the upcoming programs, inshallah.